In the seemingly endless blue expanse of the Pacific Ocean north of the equator, far from the world's great continents, lies a nation scattered like jewels upon the water. These are the Marshall Islands, a double chain of 29 coral atolls, 5 solitary islands so low-lying that they barely seem to rise above the waves that have shaped their very existence for millennia. They are places of startling beauty, brilliant white sands, turquoise lagoons, and the rhythm of life is dictated by the sun and the sea. This is a land defined by its relationship with the ocean. Long before European sails first appeared on the horizon, the Marshall Islands were discovered and settled by a remarkable people. Sometime around the 2nd millennium BCE, intrepid Micronesian voyagers set out from the west, embarking on epic journeys across the open ocean in magnificent outrigger canoes. These were not accidental drift voyages. They were planned expeditions by master navigators who possessed an incredibly sophisticated understanding of the natural world. They navigated without compass or sextant, relying on knowledge passed down through generations. The sun, the moon, the patterns of the stars at night provided their celestial guideposts, allowing astonishing accuracy over hundreds of miles. For centuries, the Marshall Islands existed in relative isolation, their world defined by the ocean and the neighboring atolls within their navigational reach. Traditional navigators sailed small canoes across those waters. This long period of seclusion began to draw to a close in the 16th century with the sporadic arrival of European explorers, but it was not until the 19th century that sustained contact began to irrevocably alter Marshallese history. Whalers, traders, missionaries. They introduced new goods, foreign diseases, and different belief systems. The arrival of these outsiders marked the beginning of a new era. The islands became entangled with distant global powers. The first major colonial claim came from the German Empire. In 1885, seeking commercial expansion, Germany declared the Marshall Islands a protectorate. German administration was relatively light-handed at first, focused primarily on protecting trading companies and copra production. After the war, the League of Nations formalized Japan's control with the South Seas Mandate. Were heavily fortified and developed into major military bases as Japan expanded across the Pacific in the 1930s. The end of World War II did not bring peace to the Marshall Islands. Instead, it marked the beginning of a new and terrifying era. As the Cold War intensified, American planners eyed the remote Marshall Islands as a testing ground, the testing of nuclear weapons. This decision would forever alter the environment, the health, the collective psyche. In 1946, the U.S. military began atmospheric nuclear testing, a 12-year program that detonated 67 devices, over Bikini Atoll, over Enewetak Atoll. The people of Bikini were the first displaced. In 1946, the U.S. military governor asked them to leave temporarily, framing it as a sacrifice, for the good of mankind. The most infamous test was Castle Bravo, detonated March 1, 1954 at Bikini Atoll. The bomb was far more powerful than expected, yielding 15 megatons, about 1,000 times Hiroshima. Shifting winds carried fallout over Rongelap and Uterik, whose residents were unaware of the invisible poison. Children played in the white, snow-like ash. In the wake of the nuclear testing era and as the global trend of decolonization gained momentum in the 1960s and 70s, a strong political movement for self-governance began to grow within the Marshall Islands. The people and their leaders, having experienced nearly a century of control by successive foreign powers, sought to reclaim their sovereignty and chart their own course. The U.S.-administered trust territory of the Pacific Islands had brought certain developments in education and healthcare, but it also meant that ultimate authority rested with Washington, D.C. The Marshallese desired a government that was truly their own, one that could represent their interests on the world stage and address their unique challenges, especially the lingering aftermath of the nuclear tests. A pivotal moment came in 1979 when the people of the Marshall Islands voted to approve their own constitution, a document that blended Western democratic principles with the traditional role of the Iroquois, establishing the Republic of the Marshall Islands as a self-governing entity. The final and most crucial step in this journey was the negotiation of the Compact of Free Association with the United States. After years of talks, the first compact was signed in 1982 and formally came into effect in 1986, the same year the United Nations officially terminated the trusteeship. The compact granted the Republic of the Marshall Islands full sovereignty and the authority to conduct its own domestic and foreign affairs. It established a new political status, one of independence and free association with a larger nation. In exchange for this sovereignty, the compact granted the United States exclusive military access and defense responsibilities in the region, most notably securing its continued use of the Ronald Reagan Ballistic Missile Defense Test Site on Kwajalein Atoll. The agreement also included substantial financial assistance from the U.S. to the RMI government grants that became the bedrock of the nation's public sector and economy. Today, the Republic of the Marshall Islands is a nation of approximately 42,000 people, a small population scattered across its vast oceanic territory. The demographic heart of the country beats strongest on two atolls, Majuro and Ebeye, the densely populated island adjacent to the U.S. military base on Kwajalein. Together, these two urban centers are home to more than 3/4 of the nation's entire population, drawing people from the more remote outer islands with the promise of jobs, education, and health care. This migration has created a stark contrast between the fast-paced, modern life in the urban centers and the slower, more traditional lifestyle that persists on the outer atolls. The people are ethnically Micronesian, and their culture remains a vibrant and essential part of national identity. The Marshallese language, a member of the Malayo-Polynesian language family, is spoken throughout the islands, though English is also an official language and is widely used in government and commerce. The Christian faith, introduced by missionaries in the 19th century, is now deeply woven into the cultural fabric, and church activities are a central part of community life for most Marshallese, blending with older customs and values. Traditional skills and arts continue to be practiced and cherished. Marshallese women are renowned as some of the finest weavers in the Pacific, creating intricate and beautiful handicrafts. The jakied, baskets, and fans made from pandanus fibers and coconut fibers. As the Republic of the Marshall Islands navigates the 21st century, it stands at a critical juncture. It faces a set of profound challenges that threaten its very existence. The most pressing and existential of these is climate change. As a nation of low-lying atolls, with an average elevation of just 2 meters above sea level, the RMI is on the front line of a global crisis it did little to create. Rising sea levels are already causing more frequent and severe inundation during high tides, eroding coastlines, contaminating the fragile freshwater lenses beneath the atolls with saltwater, threatening both drinking water supplies and agriculture. The economic future also presents a formidable challenge. The heavy dependence on U.S. aid under the Compact of Free Association creates a vulnerable economic model. Key provisions of this financial assistance are scheduled to phase down, prompting an urgent need to develop more sustainable and self-sufficient sources of income. Job opportunities remain limited, particularly for the youthful population, leading to high rates of unemployment and a continued reliance on migration to the United States for work and education. This outward flow, while providing a vital lifeline through remittances sent home, also contributes to a brain drain of skilled individuals. Furthermore, the painful legacy of the nuclear testing era continues to cast a long shadow over the nation's health and well-being. Many Marshallese still suffer from the long-term health effects of radiation exposure, and the nation continues to advocate for full and just compensation from the United States to address ongoing medical and environmental needs. Despite these immense hurdles, the spirit of the Marshallese people remains one of profound resilience and enduring hope. They have transformed from victims of the atomic age into global leaders in the fight against climate change, using their powerful moral voice to urge larger nations to take decisive action. Just as their ancestors navigated by the subtle swells and distant stars, the Marshallese today are navigating the turbulent currents of the modern world with courage and determination, fighting to preserve their culture, protect their homeland, and secure a sustainable future for the generations to come.